going to open the phones up in the first 2.5 hours, interspersed with masses of news. We're not going to screen your phone calls, but I would specifically like to hear folks call in on a news topic like Washington Journal does on C-SPAN. We do this occasionally. Or to have a question or a quick comment. Because if I have a lot of long-winded callers, I'll become long-winded and we'll never get to a bunch of your calls. And for whatever reason, and I've had this discussion probably 200 times on air in the last 15 years, only my first 4 or 5 years on air was I good at taking calls. Whereas now I'm better at news and analysis and even reading the news on air. I just cannot break the habit of A, not going to calls, or B, once I go to them, just letting people ramble on pointlessly. Every time I say it's a specific topic and you can only call in about this, we have excellent callers. Whenever I say it's a free-for-all, some of them are good, some of them are bad. And hey, the show's different. I don't like to screen calls. At the same time, though, I want to make sure your phone has good audio and that you're ready with your point or your question. In fact, just to break the mold and do it, I'm not even going to get into the news first. I'm just going to go to your phone calls first with your questions and your comments to just shake the show up. And that doesn't mean that the show you listen to every day and the show that you love will not be here tomorrow. It just means that I personally like taking more phone calls occasionally and just can't seem to make myself do it. So in the spirit of folks being able to get in who have never been able to get in on the show, first-time callers in this first hour, on Ron Paul's speech exposing the fact that our government's arming ISIS in Syria and saying that it's wrong, to climate change skeptics, call out marchers, hypocrisy with huge buses, piles of garbage. They're claiming that consumption is bad, but really they just want to guilt you into accepting social engineering and more taxes. Very powerful video by PJTV. Robert F. Kennedy loses control at the climate rally when they bring up what a hypocrite he is. It's like these people that get preferential treatment in Austin and New York and other social engineering hubs. They'll have the front parking spaces aren't even for handicap now. It'll be for electric cars, and no one's ever parked in them because electric cars cost too much, and the equations have been done. They use as much as a average subcompact of the same basic design, as much energy or more from coal power plants, mainly. Because you lose a lot of the electricity once you transmit it down power lines. There's a lot of issues involved, and it's generated by fossil fuels in most cases. Yes, if you have an electric car and your own hydroelectric plant down the street, then that is a very clean way to do things. But in most cases, it's coming from coal or it's coming from natural gas, which has a carbon footprint in the aggregate because of power loss down power lines that is massive. So in some cases, half the power gets lost. So we've got that report we're going to be getting to. I mean, I love how Al Gore owns more than 15 houses. One of them in California is 10,000 square foot. He has one in Tennessee that was 14,000 square feet. We did a video report about it a few years ago. And he wants you to live in a 220-foot coffin apartment so they can charge you more property taxes and more fines and fees. The answer is you have less, so the government and corporate class that controls it can get more with their titles of nobility, which are the UN, diplomatic immunity, the corporate loopholes, and the rest of it. That's the big issue here, is that corporate leaders that are anti-free market are reestablishing feudalism and serfdom, and they're exempt from it. That's the real discrimination. We can discuss that. We have a medical doctor and scientist who's advised the U.S. government, the UN, you name it. In fact, she's a former Clinton administration official, is coming on. She was in a CBS News report admitting, which is already in the major studies, but I want to get a doctor on to break it down for you, that yes, your cell phones are giving you cancer. She'll be joining us to discuss the fact that this is a very serious issue, Dr. Devra Davis. So that's coming up. UK's Cameron shifts tack on constitutional shakeup to mollify Scots. That's Reuters. Then you read the article, and it says he's flipping and not doing what he said he would do on more powers for Scotland. They used to call that lying. Now they call it changing tack. Be like if it was your wedding night and you just made vows for the rest of your life to be with this man or this woman, and she walks in or he walks into the bridal suite, and your new wife is in bed with the bellhop going at it, and you say, baby, you just pledged to never cheat on me, and she looks at you and says, I changed tack. That'd be a good one. But we've now gotten to the point just to expect betrayal. Oh, we'll give you more autonomy. Stay in the UK. And then, oh, sorry, now we're not going to do that. Snipers, guards, and fences, not enough. Secret Service now is looking at checkpoints on the roads surrounding the White House. Well, they already kind of have that on the roads right around it. And boy, let me tell you, little kids hold up their camera, take a picture of the White House from the park across the street. Secret Service runs over and gets in their face. And it's just Secret Service, uniformed Secret Service is just running around everywhere. And none of it has to do with so-called security. It's all about just selling the idea that this country should accept being a bunch of third world serfs. I was reading some COINTELPRO documents this weekend from congressional hearings back in the 70s about the FBI targeting political dissent in this country and trying to shut it down. And their mission was to even use violence to do it if need be. But obviously that was illegal. So to keep it secret so that the illusion that we were a free country would not be shattered. Well, now government doesn't want to go with that. They want to say, no, you are slaves, and you better step and fetch when we say. Now, I see the phones have been loaded ringing. Let me give you the number. First-time callers, any issue you want to raise. I love the wild card angle of it. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Here's an interesting story. Drone that can turn a doorknob. And we showed a drone in an article for InfoWars last week that DrudgeReport.com picked up. This story's on Drudge Today from Time Magazine, showing the drone that they're training indoors to be able to come and open your doorknob. The one we showed last week flies through your window or flies along looking through your windows. And they have announced it's now fitted with face scanning technology to identify faces in crowds or inside your home. Can you imagine what the Nazis would have done with something like this? See, we could, as a culture, demand an architecture of technology that empowered humanity. But instead, we're letting the social engineers decide the architecture, and it is a decidedly anti-human perspective. Speaking of that, there is a video titled The Singularity, Alex Jones and Ray Kurzweil battle, that we're also going to be playing here today. So we're going to be having a little discussion about the singularity and more. But the toll-free number to join us, is 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. I spent a lot of the Sunday show yesterday, well, playing special reports, which I do sometimes anyways, because I like them. They're informative, I think. People seem to like it as well. But also because I did some screaming Saturday night, some yelling, an hour-long speech I gave to the Casey Research Group, really high-powered group down in San Antonio. It was an international group, but it was at the Hyatt down in San Antonio. But what I really focused in on in the first half of the broadcast was Rand Paul's speech last Friday, where he openly said we've given 600 tons in the last year to ISIS and that it's meant to overthrow Assad. Well, Samantha Powers has now come out. That's our ambassador to the UN, and said exactly that. Over 90% of the rebels are Al-Qaeda. They just call them ISIL, ISIS to confuse you. And I know we've harped on this, but there you go. You got John McCain attacking Rand Paul for saying that, then the ambassador admits it.
You are watching the best of the Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.